Hello and welcome. For ChinaSolved, this is Andrew Hubert, welcoming you to another Casual Friday video. We are continuing our conversation about Chinese negotiating styles, today looking at the competitor or competitive style. All negotiators fall into one of five categories or types. There are competitive negotiators, compromisers, accommodators, avoiders, and collaborators. Today we are looking at the competitive style of Chinese negotiator. And there you see on the matrix where the competitor sits. He's far upper left. He cares only about his own benefit and not at all about the benefit of the counterparty. The thing to remember when you're negotiating in China is that Chinese competitors don't always look like they are competing. They might come across as friends. They might come across as allies. Let's compare some American and Chinese competitive behaviors. American competitors tend to be very aggressive, very controlling, and very intimidating. There are shows of force. They want you to know that they are competing and that they are going to win. Chinese power tends to come from withdrawing and withholding of help or of information, even if they've promised to supply it. Chinese competitors use what we are going to be calling Tai Chi tactics. Tai Chi is a martial art, but instead of a series of very strong strikes and kicks, they withdraw and they use the energy of the opponent against him. So they are in effect going to allow you to trip yourself up and fall on your face. Competitive tactics are the finale to a lot of combinations. Remember earlier we talked about the balance of power shift, which starts with a lot of flattery. They're going to put themselves in a subordinate position and make you the leader. And once the Chinese side has achieved its goals, once it's gotten what it wants from you, then it's going to shift the position and become much more competitive and aggressive. Competitive behavior is the end game of the balance of power shift. In the early phases, in the opening, they were building a relationship, they were building connection, and then in the middle, they were manipulating and getting the information they wanted. Now, the end game is to get rid of you. So they're going to use competitive tactics to terminate the relationship and get you out of their market and possibly out of China. Let's take a look at how these behaviors manifest themselves into actual tactics and strategies. Tactic one is the runaway bride. You've already given away your best stuff. You've already given away your intellectual property, your assets, cash, product designs, in some cases client lists, and then all of a sudden your partner disappears. Often this happens with no warning or explanation. Tactic two is grabbing the crown jewels. This is a theft of what they consider to be most important. You consider the most important aspect of your partnership to be the market or the future cash flows from manufacturing a product together. They may feel that getting the hold of your intellectual property, your technology, your branding processes, and your customer lists are the most important aspect of the partnership, and once they have that, they don't need you. Tactic three is about quality control, cutting corners. And a lot of Westerners mistakenly believe that quality control and quality assurance problems are incompetence, they're accidents. These are not accidents. This is a calculated attempt by the Chinese side to enhance their profit margin by subbing in low quality materials or low quality workmanship. Tactic four, let's call it patriot games. China can be a very nationalistic place. A lot of rules and a lot of regulations. How they get applied to different businesses may depend on where you're from and who your friends are. Chinese competitors can use regulations, bureaucracy, law, and even public opinion against you as a competitive advantage. And the form this takes is to restrict your range of activities or to delay or deny approvals and to stop you from entering markets, from expanding your territory, expanding into new product lines, and maybe even to get you out of the country completely. Tactic five is the Subcommander. And the Subcommander does not run a submarine, he runs a network of subcontractors. And this is a big problem for OEM manufacturers, for Western brands who come to China looking for factories to produce their goods. When the Westerner comes to China and tours these facilities, he's brought around to see some very sophisticated, gleaming, state-of-the-art new factories in Shenzhen. As soon as he goes home, the project is then farmed out to a bunch of workshops in the countryside. And again, this is another way of a conscious way of expanding profit margins. Now let's take a look at how these different tactics and behaviors combine into a comprehensive strategy. Let's call this one "Who's in Charge?" And this is an attempt by the Chinese side to enlarge or enhance the scope of the deal, get more money, more assets, more technology from you, and then start engaging in some competitive behavior later. You start off by developing what you believe to be a trusting win-win relationship. You've come to China, you've gone to the banquets, you've built the relationships, you've done everything right, and they have taken on the role of the local expert and guide and networker. Now you think everything is heading in the right direction at a good pace. You're impressed by how quickly and efficiently everything is moving, and you're sending great reports, very optimistic reports to the people back home. Then at the last minute, some new element gets introduced. It's either another investment that's going to enlarge the scope of the deal, maybe new partners get introduced, maybe a new bureaucrat, new law, a new regulator shows up and appears on the scene. Now you're already committed, so you're going to start to pay what you think is a little bit more, and you're going to start to give up what you hope is just a little bit of control. But what you're going to find before too long is that this cycle continues, and you are paying more and more and more, which is bad. But what's even worse is you're giving up more and more control, and before you know it, you've lost control of your assets, and you are being edged out of this partnership altogether. Thank you very much for ChinaSolved. This has been Andrew Hubert. If you found the subject of today's talk to be particularly interesting, I refer you to a book I wrote called The Fragile Bridge. Thanks very much. I look forward to speaking to you again soon.